Vandegrift.
Here.
Commissioner Mays.
Here.
Commissioner Wells.
Present.
And Commissioner White.
Here.
All right, all present.
Oh, Shane, will you pray for us? Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we come to you again today to stop just to give you praise and honor and thank you for everything that you do for us each and every day. Most of all, for salvation that gives us the right to call on you at any time. Please forgive us of our sins, times, Lord, when we don't call on you when we should. Times, Father, we don't follow what we should. We ask that you be with us today during this meeting. Be with each one, be with each mind. Father, be with each heart. Give us your wisdom, Father, to do what you would have us to do. In Jesus' holy name we ask. Amen.
Amen. We used to do the pledge for this one too? Oh, do we do the pledge?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry about that. Got us.
You doing all right?
Robbie, you get cash fund
Yes.
balance, please.
Fund balance report. General fund, restricted funds are 1.6 million. The committed funds are at 1.3 million. Assigned funds, 3.7 million. Unassigned fund balance, 10,729,092. Total fund balance, 17,441,877. And cash was 14,919,200, which is up almost 2 million from last year at this time. The school department fund balance 10,008,821, cash 8,367,885. These are audited numbers. I was telling my Commissioner Foster, there's a couple I'm still questioning, and that's the general fund and highway. And I haven't got into the two school funds yet because I have to make a lot of audit adjustments and stuff, and haven't made them all. But most of these are final audit numbers, except for those four funds, I would say, the lunchroom, the biggest funds. So, anyway, any questions on the fund balance report?
I have one, real quick.
Chairman Mays.
You said you had questions about the fund balance. What specifically again did you say?
The general fund, the highway fund, and I haven't checked the schools, the cafeteria
But
yet.
is there anything in particular
Well,
you're unsure
I
about?
think they're a little higher than I have. So, and I want them to tell me where they get, I asked the audit for clarifications.
Okay, cool.
I just haven't they're in another county already, so
Okay, thank
it'll
you.
be a little slower now getting responses.
That works.
Any other questions? Okay, local option sales tax.
Sales tax in September, we came in at 5.9% higher than last September. For the county as a whole, for the Anderson County portion, 498, 267 compared to 477, 157 last year. So sales tax for for fiscal year 23-24 is doing better. I know that graph looks like we're going under, but that's really fiscal year 21-22 when sales tax was showing the highest jumps because of internet sales tax just starting 21 and 22. But compared to last year, we're the light orange over the darker orange, we're doing better each month. So sales tax looking good this year so far.
Any questions? Okay.
So the ARPA projects, as we put in every month, an updated list. Revenue loss, we still have 1,074,970 available. Other eligibilities, 1,767,769, and for a total of 2.8 million. Any question? I don't have a lot. I do know that somebody made a comment. We have 14 months to have all the funds committed left. That's all we have left. So, not that a year and 2 months. So,
Any questions?
Randy, sorry.
Chairman Mays.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know if it was at the workshop or the meeting before, you mentioned something about giving us a little more detail about the revenue loss section on what is allowed. And I was reading a little bit about it yesterday, and it seems, since we took the 10 million, it seems pretty wide open.
It is. There are really only a handful of things you can
Yeah, I saw, yeah,
No debt,
right.
can't pay off debt.
Okay.
It has hardly any restrictions, it's the other eligibilities.
So the other eligibilities, I didn't really see a whole lot of guidance.
It's overwhelming in terms of how much guidance there is, but it's hard to fit things into their specific criteria that have to be there. But it may be a little premature to share this, but, they just today published a revised interim rule. This is the third or fourth one, I think, but it has some new eligibilities in it. And we may be able to reclassify some money that we spent out of revenue loss funds, I'm sorry,
Out of
yeah,
revenue.
yeah, out of revenue loss into the harder eligibilities based on these new ones. And our estimate right now is about $1.4 million to $1.5 million
Wow.
of that. So we still have to put it through another test because there are several hurdles you have to pass, but the first one is there, and that was the time frame the money was spent.
So that would be good.
That'd be great.
So that would take other eligibility roughly down to about 200,000
Yeah.
and then increase the other.
Then it'd be a lot easier to spend
Yeah.
those funds.
The
Yeah.
last 16 months, 12 months.
Good deal.
Any other questions?
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Commissioner
So-
Smallridge?
what would be left in other eligibilities? If you're,
If we make that move,
yeah,
it
you,
would be approximately $1 million left there. Oh, I'm sorry, it'd be approximately,
200,000, 250?
250.
so then we have to figure out what we can use
Right.
that for or not,
Right.
based on.
But if we are able to recategorize that 1.5 that I'm talking about, takes a big chunk of that out of there. So, you know,
So like the radios that I think
Yeah.
there's some discussion now, that could even be other eligibilities.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
For
ask.
sure.
I know we had that
So
discussion.
we
Sure
probably
we
would
can.
have all that.
So we
John
have confirmed that?
verified that this week.
Okay.
So that for sure can come out of there. Well,
Any additional questions? Okay, moving on.
And the next page is just a grant inventory. It was requested by Commissioner Wandell. These are grants that we currently have. I know Commissioner Palmer asked me on the phone today if this doesn't list grants that we've applied for and haven't received yet, but these are grants that we have, that we currently have. And as you can see, the last one, the tourism, the one we just received, the tourism enhancement grant for $100,000 with a match. So, which is actually on the budget agenda today too, as far as matching funds.
Any questions on the grants? Next, moving on.
Okay. The consent agenda, not requiring full commission approval. There are 3 of those, 1 through 3. The first one is tourism. I can take these individually if you want.
Pleasure of the board.
Let's just do that real quick. So the first one, tourism, $1,500 from cellular communications, increasing cellular communications, $1,500, and decreasing communications, $500, uniforms, $500, and maintenance and building repair, $500. To purchase the new cellular phone and pay for the monthly service. The phone will be used to create and post videos and pictures to Facebook and Instagram.
We have a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion approved from Commissioner Smallridge. Do you have a second? I'll second. We got a first second. Any questions or discussions?
Is that just,
Commissioner Rhodes?
Robbie, where does this fit in with the discussion that was had in operations last month about going over budget on the phones?
Well, we discussed this in the Finance Committee because they do set policy. We took a new cell phone wireless device policy to the Finance Committee. They deferred it. I gave them option 2 of changing the amount. Currently, we allow $200. And I gave the Finance Committee, that could be outdated. Do we want to change the amount? And they did not want to do that either. They did suggest that if Stephanie was using this or tourism, not Stephanie, but for advertising purposes, stuff like that, that they could be willing, that could be an allowance to go over the $200. I did provide a phone list and currently you can get a iPhone 13 for $179. So I think Stephanie's request is for a 15 plus at, wasn't it $779? And so we have discounted pricing through Verizon and the state, so there are other options under the 200, but they're not the newest.
Yes, and I looked at the options, and one of the reasons that we need it again, like I explained to Finance Committee, is for our department. It's not so that Stephanie has a cell phone. I used to have a county cell phone. I don't prefer to have one because I just don't want to carry two phones. So this is not so Stephanie has a cell phone as a department head. This is so our department has one. So I could go buy a laptop, a video camera, and a camera and spend about $3,000. For all of those three pieces of equipment, which is what I would roll into a phone. I do prefer the 15 because it has a better camera and it has a better operating system to allow us to work mobily. So to post videos, to record, mainly to keep that content. One of the reasons we wanted more storage is because that content would live on that phone, so that we could cut it, edit it together, and post it. So this is, again, you can turn the cellular part off, as far as I'm concerned. It's the fact that when we're out, we're capturing something, we're at an event, we're taking video, we can post it right then, and we can trade it off. I have another employee that posts a lot, so we can trade it off. She can take it, I can take it, and we can be mobile when it happens.
I apologize too, I didn't mean to say Stephanie.
Commissioner
I
Reese.
guess I just asked what, I mean, I just paid for it personally on iPhone 15 because I had to. But when it's taxpayers' dollars, the iPhone 13 that I had worked perfectly fine. My daughter used it to make great videos. I guess I just, knowing that we're stewards of the county money, it's great and nice to want to have the best of everything, but when it's not your money, sometimes you settle for what's not necessarily newest and the hottest, but it still works absolutely amazing, an iPhone 13, and it fits in the budget, and other departments aren't looking going, well, if she's got to have the next and best, why can't I fight for it too? So without us opening up a can of worms, I say make do with what the county recommends. But
Commissioner Mays.
Yeah, couple of questions. If I may, Mr. Chairman, ask Commissioner Vallow a direct question. Sheriff's Department, what do you guys carry?
Hang on a minute, I'll tell you. That shows you how much knowledge I have of it. What is it, Chief?
I was just curious. And then the other question, and look, I get, and what she's saying makes total sense to me. Do the other elected, I mean, I know you're not an elected official, but I'm just curious, because they're posting on Facebook, all of that stuff. You know, I see Rex doing these expungement clinics, all that. Do they have department phones like this?
No one's ever asked to exceed the 200 except IT did one time and it was rejected, so.
It's a 12.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Commissioner Val?
So, Robbie, are you saying though that what she's requesting could come in under 200 depending on if we go through?
Not the 15.
Okay.
She could get a 13. That's the lowest under 2. For the county, at our policy, the 13 would be the best phone you could get.
And the policy
Okay.
has not changed.
Do what
No.
now?
I would just have to look at, I mean, again, one of the items that we would need is at least about 500, I think, megabytes of storage. Just because one video, again, I mean, right now we're using our personal phones and it's just eating up our storage. So,
Oh, I get your point
Yeah.
about it needing to be a business phone to do it. I'm just trying to figure out how to
I would
do
just
it
have to
with
look
under
at the
our policy.
specs. Yeah, I would just have to look at the specs of the phone as far as storage goes to see if it would be,
So-
something.
Is it,
think
I
we
guess
could-
can you find that out
Sure.
first?
Yes, I mean, the funds will still have to be transferred in order to purchase the phone and to pay for the service. So if you want to do, I mean, whatever the service is, if you want to go ahead and transfer the funds and then we can find something under $200, then that way it's not holding us up another month if you want to do that amount.
I'm sorry.
If you just want to do the amount for the rest of the year, that would pay for a $200 phone plus the whatever service is, what was it, $30 a month on average? So $40 a month, and then plus $200, and then we'll figure it out if that's a route we want to go or not.
I would think too, we could speak to IT. I think once you do a video, you could take it off your phone and put it on your computer at work.
It still doesn't post correctly. It doesn't take up the whole space of the screen. It comes across different. That's what we're doing now. We're shooting it, downloading it, uploading it. And again, when you're at an event or you're at something that's going on right then, you just can't do anything. So. But we can, like I said, if you wanna go ahead and drop that down to whatever those numbers are for now, then, or we can come back next month.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend, to stay within county, the finance management policy that's in place. Until that gets changed, we can revisit this, but to stay within policy, amend the amount to cover her monthly fees of $40 a month, plus up to the $200 allowed by policy.
Motion to amend by Commissioner Mays. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wells. Any discussion or questions on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. Carries. Motion to, now the motion on, that's been amended. Any other discussion on the new motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried.
Okay. The next transfers from special ed, it's for $4,962.26, increasing instructional supplies from indirect costs. Because indirect cost was not allowed in the grant, so they budgeted for that, they're moving the money where they can spend it. It's the only reason for this transfer.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Mays. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Vandergriff. Have any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion
Okay,
carries.
the last transfer is from the school nutrition fund. It is increasing 4 codes, repair and maintenance 40,000, others office supplies 3,000, other supplies and materials 5,000, and food service, fixtures and furniture and fixtures 7,000, from food service equipment 55,000.
Do we have a motion?
Margaret always does a really good job of explaining her stuff at the bottom.
That's from Commissioner Vandergriff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Walridge. Any discussions or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay. Appropriations and transfers from the school department. I would like to take 7 separate, 4 through 6, 4, 5, and 6, as a group, or individually. If y'all have any questions, I can answer. Dr. Parrott's also here. So,
Motion approved by Commissioner Vandergriff as a group 4 through 6.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mays. Any discussions or questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
okay, number 7 is an appropriation from unassigned fund balance for $1,125,000 to transfer to other funds. It will be transferred to the Fund 142 to appropriate funds to eliminate cash flow issues in the school federal projects per audit. We had a really big discussion with audit. Fund 142 has had some months where we haven't had a positive cash flow, and we have been funneling a lot of money through 142 because of the ESSER projects. So they recommended this move to
So 142,
yes.
on the paper it says 141.
It is 141. It's transferred to other funds, and then 142 has an additional budget amendment. But this committee doesn't have to approve
Okay.
budget amendments for 142 and 145. So just 141. So
Okay.
this one has to be approved to put it in the proper code, then to transfer these.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify.
It's kind of
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Mays to approve.
also
by
this is
Commissioner
money that can be moved back later. Once we stop spending so much of the ESSER funds, I think that we'll be able to move this money back to the 141 fund.
All of it?
Yeah, yes. We already have a small cushion in there, right? We have 350 currently, and that just tells you how much money's been going through that fund.
The problem with it is you can't get the money until you spend the money, so you have to ask for reimbursement. So from the time the check's cut, to the time we get the reimbursement, which could be 3 to 5 days, there's a negative cash flow in there.
And we can't start a new one until we get ones finalized with reimbursement, so.
Any other questions or discussion?
Is this motion just the amendment, not the resolution?
Right, okay. Anything else? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, and number 8, we don't really ever have this often, and I think it confused some people, but this is a resolution. The audit suggested this resolution to come with this transfer or with this appropriation. I think the mayor has a question about the resolution,
Mayor, go ahead.
if you'd like.
Yes, I just was gonna suggest, a language change, just kind of a matter of diplomacy, if you all are open to it. So it says, the second whereas, the Federal Projects Fund has operated with a cash deficit at various times throughout the fiscal year due to a slow turnaround for reimbursement from the state of Tennessee. I was just gonna suggest maybe striking that slow turnaround for reimbursement and change that language to, due to, timing of reimbursements. Because we really don't know. I don't want it to be construed that there's some employees at the state that aren't doing their job. We don't know if it's a federal issue. I mean, we really don't know, so it still explains that it's because of a timing of reimbursements, that it would be more diplomatic if you all were open to that change.
Anybody have an issue with that?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Chair, go ahead. Commissioner Val, do we have a second? With the change.
Second.
Commissioner Vandegrift with the second. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed likewise.
So this will be approved in the school board meeting, in the school board meetings today, isn't it?
So it'll go back to school
It'll-
board.
It will come back, their chairman has already basically approved it and made some changes before it came here. That's why I gave you all additional copy. But, they will approve that tonight, so.
Motion carries.
All right. Number 9 is an appropriation from the Register of Deeds for capital outlay, $799, $12,215 from data processing
Motion by
reserve
Commissioner
fund.
White, do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Mays with the second. Do you have any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay. 10 and 11 are from the Sheriff's Department. Number 10 is the State Mental Health Transport Grant, $227,743, putting the budget on the books for that. We have received these funds after quite a delay. It got sent here, we sent it back, then they tried to do Edison. We've had a lot of trouble getting this $227,000. And the other one is the $45,000 for dispatch that we have received from Rocky Top. They want to move these funds into the overtime for the dispatch, which I still think we're having hiring issues there, because I asked not Commissioner Owens for an update, and I think they still have 3 in the latter part of their training, and I think they just lost another dispatch, so they have 1 open position. So they've had several out, so they're using quite a bit of overtime because of that.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as a group.
As a group.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge, or motion by Commissioner Bochamp, second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Yes,
Yeah.
Commissioner Smallridge.
I understand the overtime. What's the supplemental pay? What is that for specifically?
Yes, please.
Okay, last year we took on dispatch for Rocky Top and Norris, so they pay amount into there, and we didn't hire any additional dispatchers. They took on new duties. So it's basically just adjust their pay about $3,200 a year. And it's kind of just reimbursement for that.
Any other questions? Do you have more?
No, I'm
Good.
fine.
Okay, anybody else?
Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, number 12 is an appropriation from the library, Clinton Library, for from restricted reserve $5,040 to communication for $5,044 to provide Wi-Fi service at the library. They took this out of their budget this year to balance their budget because of salary increases, and I think it's now she's asking for it out of her restricted funds to provide the same service. They really didn't have to take it out. They don't exactly get the budget process, and they could have used their restricted funds at the front end, but they took it out. So this is to put it back in their budget. So
We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner White. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Vandegrift. Do we have any questions or discussion?
Robbie, I have a question for you. Usually you put on these restricted reserve accounts a balance?
That's got, well, I'm
just
sorry.
curious.
The library's total restricted funds are 350,702.
Okay.
They do have separate funding for each one. I combine them all. 'Cause-
Right, it's just curious.
Yeah, I did forget that, but I did go and write it on mine, so 350,702.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise?
No.
Motion carries. Next one?
The next one from EMS, we're going to take off the, we're going to defer to next month because we couldn't get that worked out to get on the purchasing agenda. I think they're going to have to bid this project out now, so it's not ready for, to go before the budget committee.
Number 13, right?
Number 13.
Okay.
Yep.
S- Robbie, since when did cars have to be bidded out?
It's not, it's the leasing program, right, Catherine? They were piggybacking off so we got new, Catherine, do you care to come up here?
If they're piggybacking, then we wouldn't need a bid, right?
It was off what's that called? A source
The
code.
auditors recently placed a new restriction on us that we can't piggyback off of contracts that are based on, if the pricing is based on a discount off list, unless it's one of the state contracts, of course, then we can. But if it's one of the others like Sourcewell or NASPO, we're not allowed to do that anymore.
So will that go back to finance, the change in our, I mean, to specifically say that's no longer allowed?
We haven't.
I mean, we sent out an email. We never had anything in the policy
Yeah.
saying that was specifically allowed, so we don't really have anything to change.
A lot of what's happening.
But
is
now
when
that it's not allowed,
a discount on pricing is when they're getting the PO, they're not, the pricing changes by the time they pay for it or.
By the time, a lot of times, so say you have a contract that started July 1st and it was based on a certain list price.
Mhm.
Well, if you place an order in November and the list price changed, you're not getting the original bid price. So that's their reasoning for it.
so, but I do see that a lot of other Tennessee counties and cities are utilizing this program. So is that not, maybe Nathan could look into that in terms of being able to piggyback off of their,
It maybe, hopefully, because this is a complicated, like, these lease purchases are complicated, not
Yeah.
something I want to do. But, so, and there are some contracts that we can still piggyback off of. It's like just set price. But yeah, hopefully Nathan will find something else that he can work with. No, I did ask audit if maybe there was an exception for vehicle leases, but they haven't responded yet.
So we might hear that there is, so. But Nathan wanted to take it off because it wasn't going to purchasing for approval this month.
Do
so
we need to taking action to take it off, or y'all just take it off?
Just take it off.
Okay. Number 14,
14 and 15 are from the tourism department. The first one is the $200,000 for the tourism enhancement grant, $100,000 from the grant, and $100,000 from the tourism fund balance.
we have a motion, do you want to do them separately? With the-
I can if you want.
motion to approve
As a
Let's just do
group
them
or
separately.
separately.
separate? Motion approved, number 14. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Mays, Commissioner Mays with the motion, Commissioner Smallridge with the second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Motion carries.
Okay, number 15 is a transfer through payroll, increasing $399 other contracted services, $4,000 from part-time employment, to transfer funds to contracted services to contract with a talent agency that will be providing a spokesperson for a video series that the Tourism Council will be producing from January to June of '24.
Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Smallridge. Do we have any questions or discussions?
I have one.
One,
Well,
Commissioner
go
Mays.
ahead, Commissioner Val.
Commissioner Val.
Stephanie, I'm just curious, I guess, more than anything else. I want to make sure I understand, the tourism department is going to produce a video.
A series of videos.
A series of
Just different, we're gonna be doing to different, we've done this before, we did it pre-COVID. And we just go around to different locations and it's kind of interview style. We'll also do short videos, but we'll also do longer, interview style. And then, just kind of like, there's a series that came out called Tennessee Uncharted, just kind of, 3 to 4 minute videos. But it's going to be, we're going to do multiple. It's not just going to be one video. It's going to be multiple and covering all of our attractions.
And I guess my criticism would be, as well as you know the county in the area, who would be better than you to host these videos?
I appreciate that, but we want to kind of create a character out of it, and that's how we did it in the past.
Oh,
So
okay.
that person will be going around. It'll be a continuous series. We already have someone kind of in mind. and I
Commissioner
think
Yeager,
he'll
cat's
do-
out of that.
Yeah. Look at him playing pickleball. But we already have someone in mind that I think will do a really good job of presenting it. He's a professional. You would recognize him if I told you his name. So I just don't want to announce that at this point, but.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mays, you had a question?
I'm always intrigued when it comes, I mean, I'm good with this, but when it comes out of a salary code, especially, I mean, you haven't hired anybody part-time, right?
No, because when we closed the Welcome Center, that was what our part-time code was for. And so we still have some funds. This will leave funds in that code if we do need to hire a part-time person, but at this point, we do not have a need for that. And this will be a one-time, like I said, last time we did it was probably 2018. So this will be just a one-time thing for now. And our plans are to move some of those funds next year to cover like our lease and some of the other things that were not previously expenses. So, because we do not require a part-time person at this time.
Gotcha.
Any
So
other
Commissioner
questions?
Mays, so when that budget was made, we still were at the when last year's budget?
Yes, that I have to
And
pass.
that's the full part-time budget. We've not spent a penny in that this year, so.
I take my budget to my board in January. So,
Do you really?
yes,
Well,
to
we
get
s-
it approved and then get it to Robbie in March,
We start
April
January,
stage
February.
time frame. So we're looking at our budget in January.
Awesome.
Any other questions or discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, 16 and 17 are from the mayor's office. The first one is appropriation from the animal clinic from restricted for public health and welfare, $30,455, increase in animal control officers, 27.5, and fringe benefits to equal $30,455.
Motion approved by Commissioner White. We have a second. Commissioner Wells, second. Any questions or discussion? Commissioner McDowell?
Mayor Frank?
Yes.
I apologize, because I should have been keeping up with this myself, and if you don't know the answer, that's fine. I read that where we're having difficulty maintaining employees within the animal control department. How has the call volume been over the last year or so as far as us having to go out and try to retrieve animals? And if you don't know, that's fine. I'll wait till next meeting.
I have asked Damon to come to operations in December. He's going to do a presentation on some of the issues
Okay.
they're seeing out there. There's a lot of multiple animal, like where we have a drug scenario, 4 dogs abandoned, 5 dogs abandoned, a lot of running at large. So I know when I look at the Comcate report, I see a lot in your district. I see a lot in Powell. There's some hot spots where the issue is more pronounced, and those are long travel periods too. So,
Are we still providing services for the city of Rocky Top?
yes, sir.
Okay,
Yep. Yep.
thank you, ma'am.
We don't patrol for
Right.
Rocky Top, but
You
we do.
respond if called.
But yes, we accept their animals. If they have a scenario, we do that, and then they reimburse us for the housing.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Thank you,
Mayor-
Mr. Chairman.
Mayor, this is not a new position. It's just increasing that position that's
So
been
it's
designated, right?
to balance the codes for what we had to pay out on for compensation and vacation for a couple of positions. And then the one who did complete the certification and now has the ability to issue citations, I would like to give him an increase to be It still is not gonna be up where a deputy is, but getting there, with some of the deputy level pay.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, and number 17 is a transfer through payroll for the Civil Defense Supervisor Director, increasing $10,000 with Social Security retirement, short-term, and Medicare from other supplies and materials. The reason for that, we're taking this from the grant, which is allowable. We already transferred all the money from the grant into other supplies and materials. So they're moving $11,965 out of that code into this payroll code.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Chairman or Commissioner Mays to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Lau with the second. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lau?
This may not be the right topic to bring this up, but I want to thank Bryce and Karen and everybody with EMA for the assistance with the forest fires that we had up in our district over the weekend. It was incredible to see everybody come together, quickly organize, form a plan, attack, work with all the other departments that came through. It was impressive. It really was impressive. Appreciate the work that Bryce and EMA does for us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for what you do. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, under the sections, in Section A, longevity pay, I just wanted to give a quick update from the HR Advisory Committee. They, because we deferred this to strategic planning, if you remember, when it came to Budget Committee, and we discussed it briefly in strategic planning, but the committee decided to work on some different plans, additional plans, a 3-year and a 5-year plan, and they're talking about bringing it back for next year's budget, in the budget process as an addition then, instead of through this budget season as an amendment. So that's where that committee's at. They did ask if the budget committee had any questions or suggestions that you would want, possibly. So that's
Will they be coming as Kim presenting this to blanket the county? Or will these elected officials be standing at the podium asking for their employees?
Well, that was one of the suggestions I gave to the committee. Is I think the budget committee would like to see the elected officials speak to this in front of, and Commissioner Wells agreed. So I think you will probably see that. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or suggestions? Okay.
Okay, Section B is the witness room change orders. The Mayor Frank and I handed out one additional one tonight. The first one is a $3,024.50 ADA, installing a ramp area for ADA. The location moved somewhat to follow ADA wheelchair turnaround. My suggestion for that, we do have an ADA budget code in the budget currently that has 18,000 in it, and there's still 16,700, so we could use that code to pay for that change. And the other two are more courthouse security. The judges have requested these. The first change order is $2,817.50. The second one's $21,719.37, and the third additional one is another $12,300 or $14,145. I don't know if the mayor wants to speak to these.
So I put in your budget packet just kind of well, Robbie put the email in I sent to him that explains the different ones. So the very first one was basically they encountered an issue in sanding down the floor, and where the part of the archives was that used to have jail cells. That's a tough one. They encountered some issue in the flooring there with a bunch of wire that was there when they came in and poured some additional concrete. That was going to require breaking up that concrete, pulling it out, which was going to escalate the cost. So the architects came in, came up with this solution, which would just mean moving the wall over a little bit, and then they would have relocated the entry door, and then they'll create these to it's not truly gonna be a ramp, but it will make it, kind of a ramp so that it meets the ADA requirements for the leveling. That's the first one. The other one the other ones that you're looking at that, these are requests of by the District Attorney General, judges, and, with the badging, also courthouse security. And what they are asking, and this was not, part of the original plan, but they have asked to modify the plan. And that would be in the area where we had 2 witness rooms divided by a waiting area and 2 more witness rooms. They have asked that there be a doorway installed there that could be closed, could also be badged and secured if there were a need for 5 rooms, or there was a situation where if there were children waiting and they wanted to make sure that they were behind closed doors, something to that effect. And then they're asking for each of the rooms to, instead of just doors, they would like the bailiffs to be able to strictly control access to the rooms. So they are asking that we install the badging system on each and every door that's in there. And so that is a considerable cost, but that's before you, and that's $35,864 if you combine those two, the $14,145 plus the $21,719. So that's what those are. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions on those.
And Robbie, you said there's a,
We do have a courthouse security restricted code by the judges that has $40,830 in it. We also have a courthouse security budget code, courtroom security budget code, which is used for the 3rd floor, the courtrooms, I think the witness rooms would. That has a $10,000 budget in $799, which is a capital budget code. We could use both of those, I think, the $10,000 first, and then some of the restricted funds for the additional costs. If you all wanted to approve these change orders, that's how I would fund it.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Bowden?
speaking from my experience a few years ago, one of those codes, everything's got to be approved from the court security committee. The other code, we can approve what's been added. I can't remember, Robbie, which one's which.
Well, the we do have a courthouse security code, but commission controls also.
Okay, so that's the one we.
And it has quite a bit more money in it than
Yeah,
30,000.
yeah, that's it, okay.
I just
Thank
didn't
you, Mr.
suggest that one because, I mean, the judges are the one suggesting the changes, so I
Yeah.
thought maybe they could pay for it.
Okay. Do we have a motion or questions? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
On all, do you need these separate, or can they all be as one?
If you approve them, I'll figure other funding out. I'll do what I suggested.
Okay. Do you want to approve all 3?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion to approve all 3 changes? Do we have a
4.
second? 4, sorry, all 4 changes?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Bowden. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries. And you'll figure out where the money's gonna come from?
Yeah, just what I suggested, the courtroom
Okay.
security. I'll make sure they're okay with that, the judges
Okay.
and stuff before, but I think they will be since it was their suggestions. So, all right, next up we have
The
the,
DA was the primary driver on it. So,
maybe they
he was
won't.
the primary driver.
Build the state.
There we go.
The next thing on the agenda is the UT Extension Office, and Seth Whitehouse is here also to answer any questions you might have. What he is requesting, we have an appropriation, we have a budget for the UT Extension every year in the budget. Out of their appropriation, last year they didn't have, 3 of the positions filled, so they had quite a bit of money left over, I think 59,000 or so, and he requested like 40-something thousand, and I said, I just discovered it, and I said, I can't do that, and without commission's approval, and we don't have an agreement to do that. So he's just asking that of the appropriation, that 10,000, if it's not spent, that we give to the UT Extension Office. Could you want to explain that any better, Seth, if you'd like?
Yeah, and this is something that's completely standard.
Be sure to come to the podium, please. Thanks.
This is a standard practice across 95 counties to utilize the funds and capture them for other operating expenses, and hopefully in the future that will remain within our development account, and that is usually funded through sponsorships and other methods that go to our 4-H program, agriculture programs, and family and consumer sciences programs. And this will hopefully ensure that future increases on the salary, or excuse me, future increases on the budget through the county would not be required the following years. So just make sure that we have funds available at all times to ensure normal operations.
Any questions, Commissioner Hayes? Do you have-
Robbie, like what exactly would this look like as far as,
Well, we have done this in the past.
like how would this flow?
Typically, we pay the appropriation quarterly for their salaries and benefits. The last quarter, they have requested some additional funds, and we've actually approved it. I didn't realize we were doing that. This has been, I mean, I went several years back and found this. And, but it just was so large last year, I caught it. So when it came to my attention, I thought, I'm sorry, county government's transparent. We have to have an agreement or something, and we thought there was an agreement in place, and there's not. There's no agreement with any county. It's just, I mean, kind of a, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to defer this to next month. Without, I mean, to look at getting an agreement in place.
But I don't think there'll ever be an agreement for.
Well, then good night. Scratch that motion.
I mean, as far as with us and UT, right?
Unfortunately, yeah, UT has just showed me that, I mean, we have a cost share agreement on, 45% of the county goes to salary, benefits, and operating, and 55% goes to UT or TSU. So I anticipate we probably have about $18,000 left over for this fiscal year with one vacancy. So it wouldn't come from the general fund. It would still go to this current fund. Josh?
I just wanted to say, I don't know the TCA, but there was an extension act when the extension was created, and I think there's something in one of those laws that was passed that has kind of the breakdown, like it's 55, 45, whatever the split is with the county. So I don't think there was a written agreement, but I think it's just part of the extension law.
And we honor that commitment, the 55-45.
Commissioner Mangrum?
So just kind of piggybacking off what was said. So we had budgeted, I'm trying to find my number, $59,725.71 over what was spent already, because we had budgeted that for the extension agent, our portion of the extension agent. So that we didn't get billed for that because there was no extension agent in place, but due to the vacancy. So what they're asking is that 10,000 of that 59,725, that they be allowed to bill that. And then they will use that 10,000. So we're still coming out 49,000 to the good.
On savings.
We're on savings.
And this year would be about 20,000.
Yes.
Yep.
That was just, last year was a unique year. They didn't have as much
Right.
staff in place.
Right.
We also did approve a new position with a grant, which committed an additional $40,000 to our budget for the Tennessee, not just UT, but Tennessee State now participates in this, and they offer a position through a grant that we haven't filled. We may have filled it by now.
She started September 1st. She's doing great. Yep.
So we'll see the actual expenses closer to the budget this year.
We have a motion.
I'll make the motion to
Motion by
approve.
Commissioner to approve. We have a second? I'll second. Any questions or discussions? Anything else that anybody has?
I guess I just
Commissioner Wells?
briefly, Robbie, are you comfortable with this?
If you all approve it, I am. I mean, that's why I didn't do it last year. I mean, I want there to be transparency. I mean, I wasn't comfortable with 49,000. I'm okay with 10. I mean, we do a lot of in-kind contributions to the UT Extension Office. I mean, they have obviously a place in the courthouse and utilities, Wi-Fi, phone. I mean, that's valuable too. I'm just saying, but I mean, as long as y'all approve it, I'm A-okay with it.
Commissioner Wells, anything else? No. For next year's budget, they would have to put money back in like in the same budget process like this.
They don't, no.
No, it's just part of.
That would be just and what I will say this too, so this year's budget is $215,827. Let's say they get to 10, and there's only 5,000, then I'm not writing a check for $10,000. I'd write it for 5,827, just to make, we're not gonna go over the appropriation, the budget for the county.
Correct, and that was normally what was been done.
Right.
However, the three large vacancies is what Robbie had caught there, so yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Any
So
other?
most of the budget is appropriation. The budget's 215, the appropriation's 202,683. The rest are just smaller amounts for like
Okay.
travel, office supplies, et cetera.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, up next is the City of Clinton traffic light request. Commissioner Foster, you want to handle this?
Well, I was going to Commissioner Anderson, but Roger Howe, City Manager of Rocky Top, of Clinton, contacted me. But this really started prior. This conversation started in the previous commission, and Commissioner Anderson can talk about that a little bit more. And the mayor, you were also involved in those conversations, correct, about the traffic light? So if you'd like to speak up, I'll let Commissioner Anderson kind of speak about that first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know this was a conference call during COVID, probably in 2020, I guess, when we first talked to Mayor Burton and Roger. And we'd had a lot of calls for years from Hunter's Trail wanting a traffic light there, and then starting to get calls about Tanner Lane and the Walmart area. So the city was, what they were asking for at the time was if we would agree to cost share, split the cost of the installation of the traffic lights, they were going to maintain them thereafter. So we thought that sounded good. And then, of course, with COVID and the supply delays, they're just now getting all that done. Of course, we had a commission election and turned over about half the commission since then. But I know it's that's such a congested area, and I think there's going to be a lot of projects that we'll need to collaborate with the city on and with TDOT, because it's a state highway with county roads connecting, and it's in the city limits. So it seemed like a good value for the county to split the cost, and since it's county residents that live in Hunter's Trail and residents from all over the county that use the Walmart intersection. So that's kind of what we just kind of talked about back then, I think.
I just want to bring everybody that I wasn't a part of that, and so I know you guys were. And Mayor, is there anything you would like to have from that conversation? Okay. So they're requesting $200,000, which is a little less than half of what the estimated cost. And cost did go quite up. The total cost was $481,000, but that will get the red light at Hunter Trail, and then the one at coming out from Walmart, where we have a lot of issues. And I did talk to Roger. They've had a lot of accidents there. Tends to be where people pulling out, and that is a busy intersection. You've had a lot of development up there, so that is, and I think there was discussion of that when you guys looked at the light, was all the accidents, but they have increased even since then. But there's no funding coming from the state, or it's all locally where this funding's coming from.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'll make a
Commissioner.
motion to deny this request.
Okay. We have a second. We have a second for deny. Any discussion?
To deny it?
Deny is what he made his motion. Commissioner Val?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, in my limited observation skills, I have seen the one coming out from Walmart right there on Hillvale. And then I've seen one on down next to the drugstore.
Yeah.
Those are the two that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
Hunter's Trail, Doe Run Boulevard
Okay.
intersection.
I just want to make sure that I had in my mind the correct ones. And this is the result of in my terms, a reach out from the county to the city to try to correct this problem?
Well, I think it was kind of coming from both directions. There was county residents had been asking for the lights, and then the city was trying to deal with some of the traffic issues. TDOT had, at one point, I think TDOT had turned down a traffic light a couple times at Doe Run Boulevard. They're the ones that had to approve it, since it's the state highway. So they approved it, and 2020 or whenever, but said y'all have to pay for it, so.
Well, the reason my heart goes out on this issue is before there was a red light at the interstate exit ramps, I can remember several mornings where I used to live in Rocky Top. It was closer for me to get on the interstate and come to work. And I worked the day shift then, started at 6:45, 7 o'clock, and then I went on to 8 o'clock. And there were plenty of times when traffic was backed up down the shoulder of the interstate before you even got to the exit ramp. And how there wasn't more serious injuries during that time period, I'll never know. Had to have been the hand of the Lord. And then eventually, I can remember calling my ex-brother-in-law, who was on city council at the time, griping to him about how they needed to put a red light up there, and he explained to me the process. And they eventually got the red light, and that certainly helped with the traffic flow. I think they also made another lane there, maybe, getting off the exit. I think they may have done that. That helped as well. So my heart goes out to this issue, and I think it would be quick to just dismiss it and say that it's the city's problem, not ours, it's in the city. I hesitate to do that simply because you've got county residents that are coming down Hillvale that live out there. You've got county residents who live in Hunter's Trail. And I'm sure you all answer to those constituents like I answer to mine. And then, of course, my wife has a second address at Walmart. And she comes out of that road quite often. So even though I get probably where Commissioner Wells is coming from on whose responsibility actually is to put these red lights, I take into consideration the fact of the overall benefit that they would have. I also take into consideration that I believe the overall safety in my mind is what needs to come to fruition. And if we can contribute to this and get these red lights operational quicker to increase the safety in that intersection, I would probably have to concede to that and support it. Commissioner Wells' motion, Mr. Chairman, is what we call, I think in Robert's Rules of Order, a negative motion, which means you're making a motion to not do something, which is not necessarily required. But I get the reason of why he's probably done that. But just to remind everyone, if you vote yes on this motion, you're voting no on the appropriation. Correct. Just so everybody doesn't get confused on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And what Commissioner Van Earth asked, and I'll come to you next.
So I want to piggyback on what Commissioner Val is saying. I actually travel this road every day. I travel by the Walmart, and I travel right there in front of Hunter's Trail. And if you've ever been in that traffic, then you understand the need for this. And I'm not, I live in the county, and I dare say the majority of the people who use those roadways are actually county people. So I don't think that it's specifically a city issue. I think it's an Anderson County issue. And so I think that we should support this and that we should allocate the funds for it, especially because I believe that we somewhat had a verbal agreement that we would contribute.
Yeah, well, we just, we never did get, because of the timing to get the material ordered and everything, we just couldn't get it done in time to be able to bring it to operations or budget for a couple years from that point. But yeah, I think that most of the calls I'd gotten for the lights were all county residents. So I think that if the city didn't want any part of it, the county would have had to have acted at some point.
And so I have been almost hit at that Walmart intersection more than once. I mean, literally probably once a week I've almost been hit there. And again, at the Hunter's Trail, that is also, and with the addition of the businesses, which are bringing in some sales tax, it's even worse. You've got the Starbucks and the Buddy's Barbecue, and now there's going to be a new car wash there. So I just think that this is a county issue, not a city issue, and that we need to contribute to fix this issue for the citizens of the county.
Commissioner Wells, then I'll come to you, Commissioner Beauchamp, or unless you were first, I couldn't see. Okay.
So kind of two parts. The second's going to be a question to Robbie on some hard numbers. So I didn't make this motion to deny, to be negative, to say I don't care about what's going on. I don't care about the safety in Clinton. I guess just a couple fronts on this. A couple comments I heard was, a lot of the county citizens use it. Well, City of Oak Ridge goes from 32,000 people to roughly 80,000 people every workday. There's several thousand members of the county that come in and use our roads, but City of Oak Ridge isn't coming in and saying, hey, we need help with our traffic lights at this point. And we're broke. We need the money in Oak Ridge, but we're not doing it because we take responsibility for the fact that we're a home rule city. The City of Clinton annexed this county property. Well, at that point, they assumed, as a parent would, or as anybody does when you buy a pet, they assumed responsibility for this property. And they're making tax revenue off of it, and they're able to grow. And again, I see the need to come at us for more money, but, and this kind of piggybacks into the second part of it, we've got so many projects to look at as a county that are a priority. Our schools, we're talking about potentially updating our radio systems. And this is where my question to Robbie is, we just wrote a significant check to improve Clinton City roads because it was good for the overall county. And Robbie, how much was that roughly for?
411, 199.43 for paving in the industrial part.
And we went over what we originally had agreed to help out, or correct me if I'm wrong on that. I thought when all that occurred that the mayor had a working relationship with the city, and that was where we were going to leave it. At that point, the city would take care of these lights. And again, I'm speaking on what I remember over the last few months, so I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth. But we just wrote a check for almost $500,000 to help city roads because it was good for the overall part of the county. This is just another, hey, we need more money. We need more money. And if Clinton has the money to do it, then I say if they go ahead and get it done. And if they want to talk to us long-term on planning, again, for next budget cycle, let's look at it. But where does it stop? So
We also gave their volunteer fire department, their city fire department $50,000, along with every city fire department.
yes, sir. And I'll close on this. If Clinton has the means, they accepted the responsibility of the roads. I think it's incumbent upon them to take care of this problem. So.
Commissioner Beauchamp.
And I was going to say the exact same thing that Commissioner Wells said. If we've got many of the parts of the county that come right into Oak Ridge, we've got Oliver Springs. If Oak Ridgers were asking for this to be done, we would be appalled. We would have a fit. It is the city of Clinton. They're annexed for it. I get it. We got county roads coming in. I live just next street over from Key Springs. That's a county road. I wouldn't ask the county to put in a four-way stop when there's all kinds of wrecks that happen right down below my house. That's absurd. We just gave the city of Clinton the money for the paving. I didn't want to do that, but then I understood the need of all these county residents are traveling down this road and they go to work there and they're contributing. So I gave in for that agreement. I get the need for it, but the city of Clinton also has a responsibility to provide that service for those citizens because they took over the road. Whether it's county people coming into the city road, we have that throughout this entire county happening, people coming into the city. For me, $200,000 is a lot of money when we've got the schools. 2 months ago, they asked for sewers for 2 of the schools, and I don't even think that we've even addressed that part. I think it was supposed to come up in strategic planning, and it did not. That $200,000 can help toward the sewer system at Briceville and Dutch Valley. We've got our own needs that we've got to look at right now. We've already spent our ARP funds down. If we're looking at going at a countywide communication system, which is a great need that we need in this county, because if you're sitting in fire commission, you understand the needs that these volunteers and our emergency services, what they're going through as a stressful event to where they can't even communicate with one another. That's going to cost us a hefty penny, and we're going to have discussions over that next month. can we really give up $200,000 when we've got all these future projects and needs that we need to get done that we've pretty much neglected? These things need to be done. And I get it, I understand, and I understand where you guys are coming from, it's your district. But every road that comes into the city comes from a county road. And I'm just gonna say that we would be appalled if we were asking, if Oak Ridge City came before us and asked the same thing. So for me, it's a hard no. The city of Clinton can do this, they can afford this. I don't think the county should put forth any more money. If they should have picked up either or, that's me. And I can't help what the prior commission did. I was not here. I'm not gonna sit and be bound by something that a prior commissioner did or did not do. To me, to this day, they have the money to do it, they need to do it themselves.
I'm gonna go with Commissioner Mays, then come back to you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, well, you hadn't spoke on this topic, that's why I was coming. Then I'll go Commissioner Vandegrift and Commissioner Val, you said you had something.
So I think this puts commission between a rock and a hard place, honestly. It's because you got an entity that definitely has the cash to afford to make this purchase without county help. Then we also have county residents who are, while we generalize they use our roads, there's tons of kids and tons of families who live in the Hunters Trail community that are incredibly impacted by this. But then I go back to the $400,000, almost $500,000 we gave the city. Our county people come in to do business in the for county business and pay the city to park around the building. They've now shut off a few parking spaces that no one can even park at, which drives me crazy. We've talked about how much they have grown, and when they annexed up there, before strip annexing was a no-no, the residents were promised a fire station, the residents were promised all kinds of things. Well, it's 2023, and where is the fire station? Where's the EOC? Is that going to be another request that they're going to be coming to us for while they sit and brag about lowering their debt and building their cash fund, which is great. I'm proud. I'm happy for them. But at some point, like Commissioner Beauchamp said, if you're at a strategic planning workshop, or if you've been in this county long enough to know, our list is long and the needs are great. And as much as I would love to help, that $200,000 is a lot of money off the back of another $500,000 that we just gave them. And if it was in any other situation where this city was not flush with money and can do the things that they do, this would probably be an easier thing to support. But again, I'm thankful for the sales tax that they bring in. I'm very thankful. I'm thankful for the city of Oak Ridge. I'm thankful for Rocky Top. I'm thankful for Norris. I'm thankful for Oliver Springs. All of them do. But I think that if we continue just to write out big fat checks to cities, that it doesn't stop here. And how are we going to tell Clinton yes tonight and then tell Rocky Top in 6 months no? That's for me hard to comprehend and hard for me to agree with. So while I don't like the nature of the motion, I'm like Shane. I think it's I don't like negative motions, not negative as in you're being negative, but it was hard for me to vote on the money to pave, but and I bit my tongue and did it, but I just can't, with everything that we need in this county, with Bryce's office. If we gave EMA $200,000 to go towards the janitor closet that he operates out of, that would be huge. But I just don't see giving that to some red lights. Again, I want them to be safe, but the city of Clinton can write that check tonight. They don't need us to fund this for them. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Commissioner Vandegrift and Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To address some of the points that were made, Commissioner Wells and Commissioner Beauchamp are correct certainly on the fact that Clinton City chose to annex this property years ago. I've said that when we were discussing the convenience center being relocated up to 441, because when it sat there at Glen Alpine for so long, the city annexed it and then started griping about it. So I get that argument. Certainly no one forced them to annex, but they did. Upon annexation, and I used to criticize my mama when I was growing up, because we'd get off that exit and she'd look around and she'd say, I remember when all this was just farms, there wasn't nothing out here. And I thought, boy, I'll never get that way. I find myself doing the same thing now. I get off that exit and I'm like, boys, I can remember there wasn't a McDonald's out here, there wasn't this out here, it was just the high school and the 1020 truck stop. The progress that has been made cannot be ignored. The progress was made. Now, I wish that progress would come a little further north, on up to Rocky Top, and pray someday that it will, but the progress was made. I believe it was made in cooperation, not in resistance to the city. Or I'd like to think that anyway. I'm not talking about TIFs, that's an argument for another day. But I think the issue with the industrial park is a little bit different issue than what we're talking about with the red light. I can get the concern we had about paving an industrial park road. All right, I get that. One of the main reasons that I wound up supporting that motion the second time around was Mr. Houck proved to me that an agreement had been made with Commission years and years and years and years ago. I get Commissioner Beauchamp's point. She can't be held accountable for a decision the Commission made before her arrival. I get that. However, if we tell anybody, not just Clinton, but anybody, any company, any municipality, anybody, if we tell them today we're going to agree with you to do something, but then next month, next year, 2 years from now, we may renege on that and may not go through with it, I don't like setting that kind of reputation for Anderson County government. And they're not just going to look at it as the legislative body reneged on it. They're going to look at it as Anderson County did. We represent our districts. So I'm a little concerned with, if we reached out, and I'm not criticizing Josh or the mayor for reaching out, I get the need. You got phone calls from your constituents to find out if something could be corrected. I get that. I'd have done the same thing if it had been up in my district. So I respect the reach out that they had. But if they did that on behalf of the county and we started negotiating this a while back, I feel obligated to go through with it today. As far as the roads in Oak Ridge, I get what Commissioner Beauchamp's saying. When I drive into Oak Ridge, it's usually off of Key Springs a lot of times, coming in that way. Or I can take the turnpike and go all the way in town. It's a nice, flat, safe road in order to get there. Again, I think there's a little different situation. We're talking about some more dangerous intersections coming in there. I'm speeding up, Mr. Chairman. You used to be the one being criticized.
I'm not criticizing. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anybody that wants to speak. I'm going to let everybody talk.
And to take Commissioner Beauchamp's point as well, we do have some other issues that we're going to have to look at as far as the money we have left and the money we have in the bank and what we're going to do. But I think this is a worthwhile, safe cause for us to spend the taxpayers' money on. Thank you,
I'm going to let the mayor speak, and then I'm going to make a comment, and then we'll go to a vote.
Just to Commissioner Val's point about outreach, I do want to make clear that there were no commitments made. So there were no commitments made, and I would not be authorized to make a commitment. We had this discussion many years ago because the citizens in Hunter's Trail were reaching out for a solution. At that point in time, we got some markings on the road as kind of an interim. The city has already done the lights. They've already installed them. I think they're just waiting on the last, some kind of part that was needed for the lights. And I just, you know, Commissioner Val, I just want to clarify, I mean, the letter just on the county reneging, it says, previous conversations with some county commissioners have indicated a willingness to provide assistance due to the overall benefit. So there isn't an agreement, an agreement. The city and county have been great partners. I don't think, you know, to your point about the negative motion, I don't like a negative motion because it doesn't share context. I really don't think the city is going to all of a sudden hate the county if you didn't agree to this. I mean, there are numerous partnerships between the city and the county. They had cost overruns on the paving. They're business people too. I'm sure they're looking at, okay, the county just gave $50,000 on the fire. The county just did the 400 and something on the industrial. I mean, maybe you just say, instead of a divided vote, I don't know, and I'm not trying to step in the middle of your vote, I'm just listening to all the voices here. Maybe you say, would just a contribution, you know, or we want to be open to future partnerships on other things, or you've got the 20,000 from Powell Clinch. How about, you know, a lesser amount because we did meet you for that big cost overrun. I mean, I think that initial request was much, much lower. And then it went up, and then it went up, and, you know, they understand we have needs too. And so maybe it's just a conversational where, you know, we go back to them and we say, look, here are the issues we're facing. We've got a long list. Can we hold off for something else in the future? Or would you, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do, which is ask. They had a discussion, so of course they're going to ask. I'd ask. If you all wanted me to go across the street and ask for something, I'll go across the street and ask. But I do want to just throw that out there, that there was never an agreement that this would be funded. So.
Okay. Commissioner Mays, I want to just make one, as a chairman, I'm going to comment just because it is my district. And I do think, you know, I don't support the motion that's on the table to decline it. You know, I think when we talked about it, they are county residents. City of Clinton, people pay county taxes also. And I know that's always a discussion. Just like Oak Ridge, citizens pay county taxes, right? We're all county taxpayers. I am supportive of doing this. I think, you know, I'm not sure the city of Clinton would have pursued, especially at Hunter Trail, the red light, if it wasn't for some county commissioners coming to them and saying, hey, look at this. I understand the whole process too. So I'll be voting no on the motion on the table, and then we'll go from there. Any other questions or concerns? Okay. So I'm going to do a hand vote on this because I think it's going to be close. So if you're in favor of the motion to deny, raise your right hand or left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're in favor to the opposite, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. So tie vote is a no vote, correct? The motion fails. So I will make so that means I'll make a motion to approve, but it will do the same thing. So, but I want to make that motion because that's my constituent. So I will make a motion to approve this funding.
Those are not your constituents, just to be for the record that we're talking about.
Well, my district, sorry.
We're talking about Shelley and Josh's constituents that are mostly impacted by this.
So I'll make the motion to approve. We have a second. Any discussion? I want to do a hand vote again. In favor of approving it, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. 4-4, motion denied.
And I do just want to follow up with what the mayor said there is absolutely City of Clinton, if they're watching, good job coming to us and asking. You're doing your job as elected officials, as representatives of your city. But it's our duty as well to sit here at the board and say, no, not necessarily. Now, does that stop them from coming back next month asking for something less? Sure. But to finish off on that, if they're asking for $250,000, why is there not a representative here to talk to us and answer any questions tonight? That I would just finish with that. This doesn't mean it's an absolute no, but from a business standpoint, you can't just throw a softball out there and wait on the other team to catch it and then throw it back. If they really want to, they need to come to the table and talk to us like we're in business. So
Next item of business.
Okay, the next item is a capital projects 171 and 177 discussion asked for by Chairman Mays, and I'll let him lead this conversation. I did hand you all out some information about the two funds, current budgets, what we, currently the 171 fund gets 2.13 pennies, and the 177 fund 4.56 pennies, which was 5 when we started this, but with the reappraisal it went down to 4.56 because they changed those reappraisal years, changes those pennies.
So again, this is just for discussion, and I'll keep it brief. And this is stemming from the strategic workshop that we had, and there was long discussion about all the needs that the county has. And I shared this in an email with Dr. Parrott. You know, we talked a lot about the successes and the progress the schools have made on a lot of their capital. And I think all of you got the email from Dr. Parrott about, you know, here are the capital projects we've worked on, here are some that are in the pipeline, et cetera. And all I want to talk about, and I'm not asking for any motion, I'm not asking for anything other than some food for thought, is we addressed several things, one being the county operating system, the radio system. We talked about our facilities that are in just terrible condition, the needs for new facilities. We talked about, you know, and I'll bring up the Justice Center too. I don't know how much we've paid Bill and that group to date to go out and to conduct this information, to compile all this information for a Justice Center. But we've got all this information, but we're not talking about what we're going to do with it or we're going to move forward with it. So I say all that to say this, is that we have a large number of capital projects that are non-school related in this county. I would dare say if we really started putting pen to paper, the list would probably be astronomical. And I think and I guess it was in 2018, the county raised property taxes 8 cents, I believe was the number. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it was in 2018 or 19 when the sheriff wanted Unit 1, and then you got a puzzled look on your face.
Well, I thought it was 10 cents.
Okay, well, sorry. Whatever the number is. And a part of that went to the sheriff's department for Unit 1. And I remember coming back and saying, hey, we don't need Unit 1 anymore. We gave that money back. Well, that's since gone to salaries. But regardless, you know. And another part of that was going into a capital fund 177 for the schools. And right now, a penny is worth a little over 200,000, right, Robbie?
Yes, sir.
So you're looking at about $1 million a year going into a capital account, which is great because the condition of schools in 2018 were, especially from an HVAC perspective, the Norris project, all of these other things were great needs. But for a long time, I felt like as a county, and I'm just going to exclude the schools for a second. As a county, we've just, you know, robbed Peter to pay Paul, and we've band-aided a lot of our problems just to get by. We're in a position now where we've got some money. We've got, you know, some ARPA funds left that we could do some things with. But I want us to think about how we can partner with, whether it be the schools and those 5 cents or 4.5, whatever the number is, or other ways, because guys, we're going to leave it to a commission at some point. Some commission is going to have to address these things. I don't know how many of you went and toured, you know, EMA's office. Well, that wasn't the first time I'd been there. But when you go there, it is so disappointing that we live in a county of our size and of our progress, that our EMA department is what it is in terms of the structure. Not our human capital is amazing, but our structure is terrible. Our EMS buildings are awful. I mean, we've got needs that, I mean, we're in a courthouse that honestly, you know, it wouldn't shock me to hear that it caved in one weekend, and I hope nobody's in here because it's so over. You know, yeah, that sounds crazy for me to say, but my God, for how long? I mean, we're cramming 10 pounds of junk in a 5-pound bag in this courthouse. At some point, we've really got to start putting our foot forward and addressing these things. No one wants to talk about the Justice Center. Well, you know what? About 85 counties in the state have talked about it, and by God, they've built one. And they've addressed the needs. I know there's not a need, there's not this, or we need some money, or we need that. But we don't have a problem throwing away money at other things, or giving it to a city, or giving it to, we give a lion's share of money to the highway department that already gets a lot of money. We don't have to give them, and I think it's our sales tax portion that we give them, close to $1 million. And it may be a little less than that, 750. But the point is at some point, we've got to fix our stuff. It's either going to be this commission, or it's going to be a commission down the road when one of our kids decide to do it. But somebody's going to have to fix it, and it's going to be awful by then. And I know it's not popular to talk about spending money or borrowing money or building big things with price tags, but we didn't get elected to do the easy things. We got elected to do the hard things. We didn't get elected to push things away. We got elected to fix things. And I know how this system works. When 2025 rolls around, you couldn't get $5 out of a commission. When it's election season, by God, you don't come and ask. Well, if that's how we're going to operate, then the time is now. If we're not going to be able to get anything out of commission in 2025, the time is now. And I would just ask for us to reconsider how money gets flowed out of our accounts and into other accounts. Not asking for a permanent solution with those, whether it be the pennies from the schools or sales tax from the highway department. But guys, can we take care of our stuff? Because it's people like Bryce Kidwell. It's people like, don't even talk about Nathan Sweet. It's people like Nathan Sweet's people that are taking showers and with mold falling down on their head in the ceilings. Those are the people we need to start thinking about. They're just as valuable as anybody else in this county. And so food for thought. I'm not asking for a motion. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking for us to quit putting money into things like a Justice Center study and us not follow through with stuff. We either say we're never going to build it, or by God, let's start doing it. Let's do something, because it's not fair to these people for them to have to work. Because I promise you this, if you worked in one of these conditions, you'd be finding you another job. And we are the ones responsible for that. And shame on us if we don't fix it. That's all I have.
Anybody else have any discussion? Okay. Anything else? New business?
Yes.
New business?
Commissioner Wells has a new business.
New business, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Commissioner Wells?
Cut and slash guy over here. No. A couple months back, we had a proposal. Oh,
I need to go, can I just say one thing before I leave?
Is it okay, Commissioner Wells?
Go Dragons.
leave it to the classy superintendent from county. There we go.
Commissioner Wells makes a motion for the 4.5 pennies. I'm just kidding.
I will say that, to his point, how awesome is it? We've got Oak Ridge and Clinton playing in the city. All the money stays in the county that's spent there. Everybody gets to come close to home. We've got Anderson County. It's the first time 3 teams are in the second round of playoffs. This is huge for the county, guys. Win, lose for Clinton, win for Oak Ridge.
Right,
No, but seriously, it's an awesome thing. So for all the kids, and most importantly, all the parents out there that have supported these boys and these women, these cheerleaders, these band kids, thank y'all so much. It's y'all's efforts as parents that have pushed these children to the point they're at now. that we can say we're gonna make extra tax revenue, that we can say we're gonna have a huge opportunity in the city. So just kudos to all of you. So back on the topic, get me talking football, get going. A couple months back, we had some representatives from the Scarborough 85 Memorial Project come and give us a presentation. In the time since then, they have really made a lot of progress moving forward, seeking funding. The latest, and I don't want to be quoted, but the latest in my conversations with Mr. McBride and Mr. Spratlin, a couple of the others, is they have gotten a huge amount of support moving forward with the state. The state of Tennessee, one of their immediate questions was, is the city of Oak Ridge behind it? Yes, the city's committed a $125,000 match. Where does Anderson County stand on it? Well, Martin, being always cautious, didn't want to overstep, said we have some commissioners that have brought it to the attention of the commission. Everybody was well received on it, but he left it at that. He didn't want to overstep on any sort of financial commitment, so I really appreciate. I would like for us to, if nothing else, at least have a healthy discussion this evening, so we can look at moving forward on potentially helping out this project. As you all saw on that, and for those of you watching tonight, this memorial is going to encompass the 85 young men and women that integrated the Oak Ridge school system. It was actually the first integration of a school system in the entire southeastern United States, a few years before Clinton even, and it happened peacefully. So this memorial will highlight them, but it will also highlight the community of not just black residents, but of the white residents, the businesses, the Atomic Energy Commission, and how it was embraced, and how they were brought into play sports. You had athletes from Oak Ridge that were black that were playing sports in the South before they could even play on University of Tennessee's team. So it's showcasing the entire community. This is also from an economic development standpoint. This will tie right in with our Civil Rights Trail with the Green McAdoo Center. Oliver Springs now is working on a project to put in a historic center for the black Americans that grew up in those communities. Once this project's complete, we will be the largest attraction in the area north of Birmingham, Alabama. It puts us right on target with the corridor from those heading up north to the beach every year. It will help us out economically, on top of it's a feel-good piece, and it's a piece that's well needed for not just Oak Ridge, but for all the counties. So don't want to sit and ramrod and throw out numbers. I would like to just kind of get y'all's opinion and y'all's feedback on how and if we can move forward on helping these folks out.
Commissioner Mays, 3 minutes.
Yeah, pot calling the kettle there.
Boy, as Greg said, over here wasn't this.
In 2005, Robbie and I talked about this after the presentation. In 2005, we gave the Green McAdoo Cultural Organization $55,000. Through that time, there's been some other contributions in the tune of $7,000 to $10,000 roughly. So I'm not an inflation guy, so I don't know what those numbers mean today. But at the very least, I would like to see, at a minimum, looking at those numbers of like the inflationary comparison to what that would be for 2023 or 24. And then also, and I know the chairman won't like this, but I think that this is an absolute spot-on project that could be paid out of a tourism general fund. Tourism is to bring folks into the county. This will check that box greatly. And so she has a pretty healthy fund. It looked like close to $600,000. But I would like to maybe see if we could get that number, but at least be willing to commit to that bottom line of what that contribution was to this, to the Scarborough 85.
Her fund balance is 567,115, but she did spend 100,000 of it tonight. But that doesn't include the sale of the tourism building, which is in this year's revenue. That will roll into fund balance at year end, so it'll be another 200-something thousand added. So it's healthy.
Do we roughly know what that number is on inflation?
I do not. I would have to.
Okay.
I also.
2005.
Yeah.
The inflation calculator in today's dollars would be $86,678.
So with that, I will Yeah, and then we added some more to
Well,
that.
back in the day, Tyler, we used to have the county budgeted money for nonprofits, and they were one of the nonprofits we gave to each year.
Yeah.
But for this specific project, it was 55,000.
Yeah. I would like to make a motion that we commit $100,000 out of the tourism department general fund to the Scarborough 85.
We have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Mays, $100,000 from the fund balance of the tourism. We have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Bochamp. Any other further discussion? Commissioner Val, then Commissioner Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Taking it out of the tourism fund, I guess I don't have too big of an issue with that, but I was getting ready to make a motion, or I guess I could amend to send it to the nonprofit committee for discussion. I know we're kind of in limbo right now, but I would be thinking that this would be a good topic for them to discuss. Commissioner Yeager, we're still here, but I would like to see it go to the nonprofit. I don't want to make things confusing with the motion on the floor, but I'll vote no on this, but the only reason I'm voting no on it is to send it to the nonprofit.
So is the nonprofit committee meeting?
Well, we're still waiting on a ruling from Jay.
Can we send it to
Yeah.
operations with that?
It wouldn't matter. But honestly, the policy's set up that it should go to nonprofit first. This is a 501c3. And then it would go to the budget committee, and then it would go to commission.
Because I know there's
mean,
been
it's-
multiple requests that we've sent to the nonprofit committee, like
We're
over
still
the
waiting on
last
it.
budget year.
How long have we been waiting, Robbie?
Over a year.
Has it been that long since the nonprofit met?
Yes.
Well, I know last budget year, we designated some money and sent multiple things there for,
The holdup is Commissioner Yeager did an excellent job in drafting policies and procedures for the nonprofit, how to streamline the procedure so that they vetted what organizations got their request or whatnot. And I think there was a concern that someone brought up that Jay was looking into.
It's the fact that it doesn't say 501c3 in the policy. It doesn't with CTAS either, doesn't Mayor? And one of the people that asked for money, the nonprofits, brought it to our attention. So we said, oh wait, we better make sure clarify that. That's all we're waiting on.
so Commissioner Val, are you making a motion to defer that to nonprofit?
I didn't want to muddy the waters on it. We can either do that, or I can just vote no, and we'll see where it goes, and then.
If I
I
could
can
say
make
one
a
more
motion.
thing too, the finance committee did change policy that so tourism does give to some nonprofits as well. They have money set aside for that in their budget currently. But we made a motion, finance committee made a motion, and it was approved that any fund giving money to nonprofit had to go to the charitable donation
So I'll
policy.
go ahead and amend the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Should go to that committee first.
So you got a motion to defer this to the nonprofit?
Hold on a second. What, to the policy that's not been vetted by our law director?
That was just about, because we had tourism giving funds to like Museum of Appalachian, what's the center in the city of Clinton? The Pearl Foundation. And so the finance committee changed the policy that any fund that donating funds to nonprofits should go through the charitable donation committee first, no matter what fund it is.
Is that the same as nonprofit committee?
Yes.
The one that hasn't
Same
met
problem.
in over 12 months? The
Well,
one that's
only because
waiting on-
we're waiting on a ruling to meet, because there's no sense meeting if you can't give money.
So just tell everybody not to request anything I mean,
I'm just the messenger.
that's insane.
Well, I mean, essentially, I don't have the policy in front of me, but it does not specifically say 501c3. And the policy is taken directly from the state of Tennessee and what is allowable for a contribution. I reached out to CTAS, and CTAS said, yes. I mean, did I share that with you, Robbie, Randy? When on its plain language, you would assume if you go to the IRS tax code, a charitable organization is a 501c3. But it was actually the Child Advocacy Center that raised the issue for the application. They said, Well, it doesn't specifically say 501c3. So I reached out to the law director and said, can you clarify, are those words interchangeable? Is a nonprofit or a charitable organization, is that a 501c? Because the state law specifies other 501s, there's C4s, and there are those that are also charitable. And that's all we're waiting on is that answer. I mean, I don't know, if I can go to an accounting firm or something, but I mean, we've been waiting on that. But
CTAS did say it.
CTAS said it was
their
okay.
legal-
In their opinion, it's an eligible, because we as a government are able to make, through our appropriations, a donation to a 501c3. And we have.
He's making the motion to defer that to the nonprofit committee.
Is there a second?
Yeah, we have not got a second. Is there a second on?
Yeah, we had a Saber second.
No, I
No.
second.
Yeah, right. This is on the deferral motion.
Commissioner Wells.
Do we have a second on the deferral motion from Commissioner
Tyler's
Val?
motion, sorry.
Well, and what Robbie is telling you is a matter of policy, it has to go to the
Correct.
nonprofit committee.
And-
But you all can certainly make a recommendation that you've already got your motion for the amount. It's coming with a commission endorsement and, but it does have to
Been
go.
Distributed,
Yes, it's been approved and,
Your
yeah.
question for the mayor.
yeah.
You got a question for the mayor?
Yeah, just,
Okay.
so,
Mayor.
call it my rookie ignorance to it. Who are we waiting on to get this ruling specifically?
Since last October?
Yeah, Jay actually reached out to me and was working on it.
So is this
Three-
the law director's responsibility? And we've
Well,
been
that's who
waiting-
we normally get opinions from when have a
Okay.
question about any policy or, yes.
Okay, I'm just, and the reason I'm asking all stuff is, we've got hired employees that are here to work for the county, and they have been instructed to do something, and it's taken over a year, and here commission is stuck in limbo. We're not able to answer the people and to handle nonprofit items through a nonprofit committee because one of our paid employees has not gotten the job done in almost a year. I'm scratching my head on that. And our legislative branch is being defunct because of a hired employee not getting the job done in a timely fashion, and I'll leave it at that.
And I did not hear a second on Commissioner Val's deferral. Oh, you did second. Sorry, Commissioner. We have a second. Any other discussion on the deferral motion? By policy, it has to go to nonprofit, but if we should, but we could recommend passage of the money as it goes through the proper policy procedures, and then on top of that, we demand from. I don't know if we need to send that to full commission, that our law director give us a opinion by the next commission meeting. I don't know if this committee has that authority, or if that needs to go to full commission where we need to make that,
Or if you want to vote to accept CTAS, I can read you exactly what they said. So I wrote, because we had one of the organizations reaching out again, so in July, I reached out to CTAS, and I said, I'm hoping you can help us. We have a nonprofit policy with a new nonprofit committee. Our policy quotes direct statute and is the same thing that's on your CTAS website. However, one of the nonprofits asked a question about their eligibility for receipt of funds as a 501c3 is not specifically listed. When I go to the IRS website, it looks like nonprofit charitable organization is the definition of a 501c3, but I'm not entirely sure. We are needing help with the definitions under the law for nonprofit charitable organization. And then I mentioned the CTAS reference number. And then Kaylee Walker responds, as long as the organization files as a nonprofit with the IRS and provides services to the Anderson County community, you can donate to them. It should be by resolution at the full commission meeting. So even that was, by resolution, if you all approve it at the nonprofit level, I've asked this question before, is a motion a resolution, or does everything need to be put in a resolution format?
How did we give the chamber money at the beginning of the year?
No,
We put it in the budget as appropriation. We list several of those.
and they're not a 501c3.
They are a charitable organization.
yeah.
Part of the issue is IRS
Yeah.
range of nonprofits. And I think that's where this lady, knows that. She saw that
Yeah.
501c is not specified as.
But we didn't go through a
I didn't mean
nonprofit.
We put it in the appropriation resolution. We list several nonprofits. We
But we
are
didn't.
required to do that.
Right, but we didn't go through the charitable
No,
contribution, committee to
no,
give
but I
the-
asked the question in budget season if we wanted to.
I don't doubt you did. I'm just saying, we've done this before, and this body
Oh, yeah.
unanimously has approved that. Okay.
Commissioner Val?
I feel like we're beating a dead horse. Anyway, for years, there was the nonprofit committee. Commissioner White can attest to this. I believe he sat on it for a while. And it got to the point to where it was just getting really, really difficult to manage an update. So they pretty much just quit meeting. Pretty much told nonprofits, don't come. We ain't gonna give you nothing. But some will still come to full county commission and county commission to vote. There was one previous commissioner, that Commissioner Mays knows very well, that would just get totally upset because he would say, we shouldn't be doing that until we form a nonprofit committee to do their job and to vet these requests. So I and Commissioner Yeager were both in agreement that we needed to start having meetings again for the nonprofit committee, put it back to work to start vetting some of these requests. Commissioner Yeager really took the lead on developing these policies and these rules of what to go through. This body passed the motion that from now on, it goes through the nonprofit committee to be vetted. Is there some confusion over the definition of 501c or 501c3s? Yes, absolutely there are. Yes, we need to get an answer on that. That don't mean this can't still be sent to the nonprofit committee to go through the procedure that this legislative body approved. I believe if we quit using the nonprofit again and go back to that intermediate period where full commission was making all these decisions, we're gonna be cutting off our nose to spite our face.
But we did it at budget season, with all due respect. I mean, we did.
Well, I believe that's a little different when you do something in budget season. We also took tourism's money to change the budget without it going through a committee because it was budget season.
Well,
We
but,
were getting ready to approve the budget.
Mr. Chairman, an appropriation is an appropriation. I don't care if it's July 1 or September the 18th. That's all.
That's it. All right, we're gonna vote on the motion to defer to nonprofit committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, likewise.
No.
No. I'm gonna, all in favor, say aye. Raise your hand, sorry. 1, 2, 3. All opposed?
Four.
I was counting him, yeah, 1, 2, I was not counting, I was using it as an example. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion to defer fails. Back to the motion on the table. Any more discussion? Commissioner Wells?
I'd like to amend my motion.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm sorry, I don't have a motion. I would ask that.
You can amend the motion.
Goodness,
You have
I'd like
the
to,
right-
I would like to make a motion to amend, and the original stated motion, and include in there, we circumvent the process of going to nonprofit committee due to its inoperable status at this time, and we forward this to the full commission with a recommendation based off of CTAS's wordage on the legality of the matter.
Can we use the word bypass?
You can use whatever you want, as long as we can get something done.
Same thing.
We have a motion to amend.
So,
Do we have a second? Hearing none on the second. Amendment fails.
Okay.
I do have a question. So can the nonprofit meet without that policy? I mean,
I can schedule a meeting next month.
I think, and that would be my thing is, I say the nonprofit moves on, because there's a list of other people that have come to me and other commissioners that said, hey, I've turned in an application and I've not heard anything. I'm like, yeah, nonprofit, when are they gonna meet? I mean, I've asked you for a year, right? Since I came on, I had a request from.
Give you the same answer.
So that would be my thing is, I don't have a problem. I think it should go to nonprofit, but I think the nonprofit should meet and vet these things and then come, even though I know I voted no on the deferral motion, but that, and I understand Commissioner Mays, what you're saying, that committee's not meeting that, but that committee needs to meet and vet all these things that have been requested to make sure we are doing the due diligence.
I think Commissioner Yeager being the chair of that committee, we'd be more than happy to call for a meeting.
I'll get with him tomorrow.
which I know that's not the motion on the table. The motion on the table is to approve the amount of 100,000, is that what was the number? Sorry, okay. Any other questions or discussion on the motion to approve $100,000 from the tourism fund to go to the 85? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Likewise?
No.
No. Motion carries.
Can I get the nose in a hand?
Yes. Or, sorry.
Oh, no.
All in favor, we'll just do a hand vote for both.
I mean, we have to write these in the minutes. Is
Yeah.
always nice.
All in favor, say, raise your right hand. All opposed, likewise. Motion still carries 4-3. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 3,
5 to 3?
5, 4 to 3.
No, it'd be 4 to 3.
'Cause-
Motion fails.
Motion, no. 4.
Yeah, you gotta have 5.
4, motion
Okay,
fails.
oh, okay. Motion fails, sorry.
Who left? Oh,
Shelley had to
Shelley
leave. Okay.
So in that spirit, I'd like to make a motion
Yes.
that, whoever, get with Commissioner Yeager,
I will.
schedule a nonprofit meeting it's as soon as possible, and whether Jay has an answer or not, that they make a decision to move forward with how we're gonna be handling this, and that this item be taken up at the next nonprofit meeting.
And I would add, can I add all the other issues that have been sent to the nonprofit committee? I don't want them to be ignored. Are you okay adding that to your motion?
I don't know what those are, but I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed likewise. Any other new business? Any old business? Motion to adjourn.
We'll do hands next month.
Yes, please.
Oh.
Right, and look at hands at the same time.